I'm wasting all my good talking. I'm wasting all my good talking pregame. You got to
You,
stop me
you,
there, Nate. I got about a half an hour's worth of good conversation in me a night, and we just blew 10 minutes of it. It's gone. It's not coming
it's
back.
true. It's true. We should be on and ready to record. Just not even talk to each other. Not even chit chat. Just like get down to business.
Just jump right in.
Just jump right
I'm
into
in.
business.
That's fine. That's fine.
All right, and then there were two. So welcome back for another episode of Tilton the Scales. Uh, Wally, thanks for joining, getting on. I know it's busy time up there. You're still, trying to unbury yourself from all the snow you got dumped on. So tell us about that.
I didn't get as much as some the areas south of me, like Massachusetts and in Boston, Plymouth, the New York City, all up through there. Got a lot more than we did with this last storm. Up here was only about an inch or two. I'm done with winter. Like it's been a brutal winter in New Hampshire. We've got a ton of snow. It's been really cold. Like I'm ready for spring. I am all in on spring. Um, but I'm happy to be here, and I think it's probably an abbreviated podcast because our the third member of our podcast is on vacation. I couldn't be happier for him. I can't wait to hear about it when he comes back in the
Yeah.
journey. And I don't want to talk about it without him. But like the rocky road he faced getting there in the first place is a story in and of itself that I look forward to hearing. Um, but we miss him, and we're excited for him. How's your week been? How's the weather
No,
down in Texas? Everything good?
yeah, it's great. The weather's great. Today it was close to 80. Started off at 60, ended up at 80. It was a great day. This week's been off and on. I think the beginning of the week it was, 30s in the morning and then 50s, 60s in the late afternoon. So good spring weather here for sure. Good
Yeah.
spring weather. We're happy about that.
As a little antidote today, touched 40, and people were out with t-shirts. Like this was like it's like you thought it was the middle of summer. It was the best day we've seen in weeks because it touched like I think 40, 41. And it really was
Yeah.
beautiful, gorgeous day.
Yeah.
Bright blue sky, sun, 40 degrees. I'll take it in February.
Yeah. I'm happy for y'all. I am. I really wish the weather was better up there. I'd live up there year round if the weather were better.
Well, this is, you know what? This is what winter's supposed to be. This is the winter of our youth. Like, it feels like this winter was a throwback to how winter should be. The last couple of winters have been such a dud. So I don't know what's the new norm. Hopefully, this. Like, I like winter. Like, I like having four discernible different seasons. Like, I like winter. I don't like this time of year, I don't like it as much. But in December and January, I enjoy it.
Yeah.
Cold doesn't bother me.
Well, have I told you why I decided to live in Texas? Like what the discerning factor was? Do you remember?
Yeah,
Did I
it was
tell
the
you?
women. Right? It was the women, right? That's
No,
I thought that's what you said.
no, it was not
I
the
remember
women.
you saying the women in Texas. Like, no, no. Oh,
That's
sorry.
a
I go.
benefit. That's definitely a benefit. No, man, all the years of training in the military and all the bitter cold, specifically my first 4 years active duty when I was in Korea and then Kansas. It wasn't any colder than we had when we were growing up, but you have every piece of, we would be out in the cold weather training, and you have every
Yeah,
piece of gear that the army issues you to stay warm on, and you're
yeah.
standing in the middle of a field, laying on the ground with a cold hunk of metal in your hands. Like you
I
cannot go,
know. I get it.
you can't go back to the patrol base or wherever we're set up and start a fire. Like, and
Yeah,
our vehicles have heaters, but you're not supposed to turn those on because of noise discipline. Like, it's just a real thing. Like, it was just
I get
miserable,
it.
man.
But without winter, you don't really get fall. And fall is such a great
Yeah.
time of year where you got nice warm days and cold nights. Like it for me, it's the best season. You don't really have a true fall if you don't have a true winter.
Yep, I agree. And the changing of the seasons is something that I
It's
miss,
trade off, right?
but I
It's
don't.
trade off, right? Yeah,
Yeah, it's just the length
yeah,
of the.
yeah.
I love.
Everyone's
I
got
don't mind
a
going up.
pros and cons.
Yeah, I don't mind going up to visit and staying. Seeing the snow, staying in it for a few weeks. I know it's just like the heat down here. It's just not something that I want to live in for
Yeah,
6 months. So
yeah.
again, best case scenario is
That's
so
exactly it, man. Yeah,
at some point I'm living up there May through October and then coming
yeah.
down here October through May. So
And it's funny you say the heat because that's exactly what would prevent me from wanting to live down there. Like I couldn't imagine having to live in that heat for 2 to 3 months. Just
Yeah.
unbearable. Can't spend time outside. Like just uncomfortable and horrible. Like so
We
like
spend
it's
time
funny.
outside. It's near a body of water or in water.
Yeah, yeah.
You're is it vacillated? You're vacillated with the water and you're cooled down. So yeah, for sure.
It
All
doesn't
right,
work
so
when you're
let's.
as pale as I am. Like I'm a pale dude.
I
Like it
know
doesn't. You
that
can't just spend the day outside.
Wally. There's paler than you down here. Trust me. They survive. You could too. You're more of a man
Yeah,
than they are. I guarantee you
they
that.
survive until they catch skin cancer at 35 and die.
I mean, maybe, or they just like you said. They don't go outside
That's right.
until the sun goes down. Then they
Or
go.
when you do, you go outside with a hoodie and a long sleeve shirt. I told you
Yeah.
my new swim shirt is a hoodie. Like it's the swim shirt material, long sleeve
Yeah,
and a hoodie,
long
and I
sleeve.
love
Yeah.
it. I
Yeah,
love it.
I wear
I don't
those
want
for
any sun
fishing.
touching my skin.
Yeah, I wear those for fishing during the
They're very
summer months.
comfortable.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. All right, so let's get into it. I wanted to start with the Olympics.
yeah.
I watched most of. I shouldn't say most of it. I stayed in tune, watched a lot of it, watched a lot of the men's hockey and the women's hockey. Women's hockey is on the trending right now. So is the men. But
Mhm.
did you watch any of it?
Not enough of it. I mean, I watch the hockey games. I watch the main games. I we listened like inadvert to the championship. We were on the road for the gold medal game, but yeah, I watched it and I followed it. Not as close as I'd like. Like I didn't follow, say, like the curling controversy with England cheating. I didn't see that closely enough, but I followed the hockey. It was hard not to, right? Like it dominated the press.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
and like the hockey alone, like the Olympics are always good for elevating women's sports and elevating sports in general. Because like again, I think that a lot of the WNBA momentum was born out of the Olympics and frankly a compelling collegiate run um,
yeah,
with Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark.
yeah. Hey,
But like it takes events like that, and the NHL had a really, really compelling tournament. Like in the last couple of years, the Four Nations tournament last year with the NHL started this, and like this international competition, I just think is healthy. I think it's really good for the sport of hockey as a whole, and it's elevated women's hockey. It's certainly elevated NHL and men's hockey in general. And I think in a lot of regards, that this Olympics and the Four Nations have almost exceeded the NHL. Like, it's almost like again, as it should be, but it hasn't been. It's been company over country for a lot of athletes. Like NBA players don't even play, and I understand the why in that. So like I don't want to sound like I'm being too hypocritical, but at the same time, it's nice to be able to see that they stopped the NHL season. They have a 3 week hockey tournament in the middle, the smack middle of the NHL season. That's a huge commitment for the NHL. And I think it's
for
paid
sure.
dividends because, again, the game of hockey is being elevated. And in doing so, everyone's going to get more money. It's going to be better for the women. It's going to be better for the men. It's been really compelling and really good and a really quality product. Like, I didn't grow up a huge hockey fan. Like, hockey wasn't big around us, right? It was football, baseball, and basketball. Um, but I've always been an ancillary fan. If the Bruins do well, I'll pay attention. Then I go to some college games. But this tournament in the last few years have been a lot of fun to watch. I enjoyed it. I will be more compelled to watch hockey going forward. I think because of it, and I think that's what you're looking for. You're looking for guys like me, guys like you, who have a limited number of time and money and resources. And if we divert a percentage of our attention towards hockey because of it, that could be a really lucrative benefit for them.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's interesting that the NHL kind of embraced the Olympics, and again,
Yeah.
they actually just basically put a pause on the season, like you said, for 3 weeks and allowed this to happen. Or I shouldn't say allowed that happen, allowed the players to benefit by having a pause so they could go, participate in their country's uniform and colors. So that's really awesome. Uh, Very
And it's been good
interesting
for
that
them, right? Don't you think it's been
yes,
beneficial for the NHL too?
absolutely, yes, absolutely, 100%. I mean, again, all of their players, literally, they are. they are the premier hockey
Yep.
league in the world. So all of
Yep.
their players are in all over the ice, dominating for their teams. Not only that, but I would say Canada and America have a majority, make up a majority of the players in the NHL. So I mean, again, to have those two teams center stage and playing the way that they did. I thought it was interesting. I didn't know the overtime rules. Watching the game, I didn't
Me neither.
understand,
Me neither.
but I like it, man. The hockey was much
Yeah.
faster. You know, there
Yeah.
was a lot more opportunities for shots.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of a back and forth. It's not like playing 3-on-3 full court, in my opinion, but at the same time, it there's more space on the ice, so you could say that it is. But I just like I
But
love that
it,
aspect of the overtime.
I do too, but isn't the argument against it that it's almost a little gimmicky? Like it's not like that's not a real part of hockey. Like when is it ever 3-on-3? That's so much ice. It's almost like a different game from a full
Yeah.
scale 5-on-5. So like it feels a little. And I mean, frankly, I think you can make an argument that if it spurs on more offense, is a good thing. But it still does. It feels like a really big change, or a really big difference, I guess,
Yeah,
as
but I'd
opposed
rather
to
see
five
that.
on
I
five
think
sudden death.
Yeah, I think Olympic hockey originally there was no sudden death and it was
It
penalty
went down
kick,
to shootouts.
penalty
It went down to
shots.
penalty shots. Yeah,
Yeah,
which
but
I
I don't
like
I
that.
don't
Like that was
no, I
exciting too,
don't.
right? You don't think that was
Uh
exciting? One on
no.
one, like the best scorer
Cuz it
against the
wasn't
goalie. Like that's fun to
yeah, but
watch.
from a production standpoint, it was like one shot and then a commercial while they switch and then another
Yeah.
shot and another commercial. So I just thought
Well,
that
I mean,
this move I'd
that's not
rather
a
see
hockey issue, though. That's
no,
that.
but
That's like a that's a
I'd rather
production
see
issue.
Yeah, but I'd rather see a 5-on-5 sudden death overtime
Yeah, yeah,
than what there was, and I'd rather see either one of those two things, the 3-on-3 or the 5-on-5 as opposed to a shootout. And I think
yeah,
the 3-on-3 gets you the same result literally. If I'm sure they'll put some data on it as in you get a number of shots on goal and it probably takes up just as much time as if you were to do 5 shots for each team going back and forth like TV time, etc. If you were to do 5-on-5 sudden death, it could last forever, you know what I mean, because
yeah,
you're not it's the opportunity for shots is not as ample. So I think the Olympic Hockey Committee got it right. I like the rule. I like the action, so to speak.
yeah. I mean, it's hard for me to argue against it because I think it was a good product on the ice. So, yeah, yeah. I don't dislike it, but I do. I would rather see like they used to do. Did wasn't correct me if I'm wrong, but there were like 2 5-minute overtime periods where it was 5-on-5, and then it went to penalty shots, right? In the
Uh,
two overtime periods were sudden death. At least that's how the
Honestly, in
NHL always did it.
Olympic, yeah, I don't know about Olympic. I can't
I don't
speak.
know about Olympic either.
Definitely hockey for sure. It should always be that. I mean, when the
Yeah,
stakes are that high, especially when we're getting into playoffs, like I prefer that. I don't want to see anything go to a shootout. Like,
no,
but
it was good. I
I
enjoyed it.
think the
I enjoyed
NHL
it.
might, I think the NHL might actually take a little take a little note and make a little change on their overtime rule because I
Yeah,
honestly again I enjoyed the 3-on-3. I thought it was wide open, and
it was.
they were changing lines like a regular game, which I thought was pretty interesting.
Yeah.
So
Well, with so much ice, it's easier to clear it out. So you
yeah,
can clear it out. You can change that out.
yeah.
But yeah, yeah. I enjoyed it. It's hard for me to argue against it. Like I said, like it was a good product. So like I would be inclined to watch it. I enjoyed the tournament. I look forward to. I don't know when the next Four Nations is, but
I think it'll be well
next
Winter
year,
Olympics are every 2 years. Is that right?
4 years.
4. Yeah, so it should
They
be.
stagger them
I
now, so
think.
it's the Summer Olympics will
Yeah, I
be in
think
two
the
years, and then yeah.
Although I think the Four Nations tournament that was like didn't they do that in place of the All-Star game?
Oh yeah, I think you might have been right. Was it?
Yeah, but they
You
didn't
might, you
do it
might be
this
right.
year because of
No,
the
because of the
Olympics. So,
Olympics. Yeah,
yeah, I think they might do the Four Nations tournament again for since it was such a huge success for their All-Star game.
yeah.
So, hopefully. But the women, let's talk about the women. Holy cow. Undefeated through the tournament, outscored their opponents 33-2. The two
Yeah.
goals I think they had were in the championship game, as in the goals against the goalie. The two of them were in the championship game, I think. I think it was 3-2 was the final score. I'd have to look that up. I can't verify that. Someone will fact check me, but man, they just dominated. And the previous year in the Olympics, they dominated as well. I thought it was interesting. Obviously, they're trending right now because the men's team was invited to the White House for the address to the nation speech by Donald Trump. Patel was there. The FBI director was there to celebrate with the team and got Trump on the phone. I'm sure you heard about the joke that he made about the ladies. How do you feel about that? Your commander in chief scrutiny once again because of things that come out of his mouth.
I mean, I'm not surprised. I think that Cash Patel. I mean, Nate, like, what do I think about our Cash Patel flying over there on the government's dime to party with the U.S. men's hockey team? Is that really of vital importance? Is that worth spending money on as a country? You cannot claim to be a fiscally prudent party and then send Cash Patel over there for sole reason to party with the U.S. hockey team. Like, that's insane. That's an insane line of thinking. And like, it's not an argument you can even make anymore, right? They're like, all right, so you're just going to spend lavishly to do things that you want to do. Okay. So from that surface, like, great, good for you, man. Like, go party with the U.S. hockey team. Like, I have no problem with that. But call it for what it is. Like, don't sit around and say we have to cut funds from grandma who's 72 and trying to eat, so that we could fly over a party with the U.S. hockey team. I think it's in poor taste, and I don't think it was a very good look for anybody. And I think to blend the two was a bad look for the overall positive nature that was the rest of the Olympics. As far as the men's versus women's drama, like I don't. I feel like it's being blown out of proportion. I think we should focus on the hockey. And both teams like had an amazing tournament. And any narrative that distracts away from the outcomes of those games, I think, is not almost worth acknowledging because I think that it's like so. It's just bullshit. These guys had like these are like we haven't won a men's hockey tournament in 46 years. We haven't gotten a gold medal. The women had a dominant tournament. Like, so like that should be the storyline. It shouldn't be about jokes or what people said with the president afterwards. And I have no problem with any team choosing to or not to visit the president after winning it. That's their right. It's a grave honor. It, like, regardless of politics, it's an amazing honor to be even asked. And if you're so inclined to do it, fantastic. Go ahead, have a blast. I have no problem with that. I think everything else is being blown out of proportion in my eyes.
Yeah, to include all the assumptions and speculation that you make about how do we know that Cash Patel let me make an assumption. There are hundreds of flights, military, that move from East Coast overseas to Germany, Kuwait, Bahrain, all types of flights. So, in order for any of those guys, Cash Patel included, to now, I don't think that on the government's dime he flew over there first class.
I think he has a private. I think if you do a little bit of research, you'll find he has a private jet. He does not fly with the military. He takes his own. You know, I think he has to. Um, I'm 95% certain that he has to go over on his own private jet with his own
Well,
security detail.
so then everything's already paid for. The plane's already bought and paid for and leased. So for him to use for work, I'm not saying let's look at the cost. What's the cost? The cost of fuel to get over there. Let
And security for him.
and well, I mean, sure. But they're already on the clock. I mean, it's not like he's on vacation. And also, again,
But
the
come
FBI
on, from a security
director,
standpoint,
the
it looks
FBI
a lot
director
different at the Milan Olympics than it does at his office building in Washington D.C. that he goes to every day, right? Like that's a vastly different.
This is
task.
true, but there are FBI agents stationed at every embassy across the world.
You're
He
really going to
could
sit
he
here and argue that him being there in the fucking men's. Oh,
I would try to be there if I could,
what
and
was
if it
that? What
meant
was that?
you just pause, I don't know. You just like pause for a minute. I don't know what it was. I don't know what happened on your end. You just glitched, that's all. The hey, Cyberdon and what's it called? The Terminator? Skynet's becoming aware. So yes, I don't want to speculate. If the guy again planned to do some work while he was over there, happened to stop in Italy. Again, every embassy has FBI agents at it. There's an FBI office in Europe somewhere. I mean, like I don't think it's as egregious as you're making it out to be, is my only point. Like, obviously, Trump couldn't be there, and that's okay. But it would have been cool to have him there too. I mean, again, it's the Olympics, and it's a gold medal. I'm sure if we did some research, you would find in previous uh, Olympics, whether it's summer or winter, that presidents have been there and gone to those events. Uh-oh. Are you frozen? Yeah, you're frozen. Wally froze up, so I'm just talking to myself right now. We'll see if he can get on or get back on. So yeah, Wally's speculating and a little bit too much about how we didn't cost the government a fortune to get Cash Patel over there, and somebody should have been over there as a dignitary to root for our men's and women hockey team. So
Oh, 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 oh. Sorry, man.
what's up? Did your computer die?
My computer died. Like it was freaking all out.
Oh,
I don't know
well,
what was going on.
I just won that conversation, so I finished it. So
I'm sure you did, and I'm sure you were probably 5 minutes into it before you realized I wasn't on.
I was. I'm like, wait, he hasn't blinked in a while. He
I'm
hasn't
nailing this.
smiled, hasn't
Yeah,
laughed. He hasn't made a ridiculous comment.
a ridiculous comment. Is that what you think I add to the conversation? Ridiculous comments?
No,
How
more
dare
than
you,
that,
sir?
but it's normally ridiculous comments, pointed in my direction. So yeah, with the men's, I don't know if you were familiar with Johnny Gordeau and the way that the men were honoring him
Yeah,
and
yeah,
that they used him as inspiration. He's got two young kids. Him and his brother were on the Olympic team. They were both killed tragically while they were struck riding their bikes, for crying out loud, in New Jersey of all places. And
yeah.
the guy that hit him was found and arrested and is currently in jail. How do you feel? Should you think that guy, I mean, he failed a field sobriety test. He was drunk. You think he's guilty of manslaughter? Should he do prison time?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, whether or not he was impaired, he struck two people. They died. There needs to be a consequence for that. I'm not saying he's to go away for the rest of his life, but there ought to be a consequence for that. You fucked up. You made a bad decision. There was a horrible outcome. Um,
Would if you were the mother, or let's say it was your wife, and you had your two kids, would you want I look at it from a different perspective. If I'm the survivor, like, man, there's already been, two lives that have been ruined, the two that are dead. If, of course I'm not necessarily want to sit down and have a conversation with the dude, but if this was a one-time thing, worst case scenario, what if this individual is super apologetic, very remorseful? Do you believe in like some sort of, I don't know, maybe you drop the charges because it doesn't, I mean, the state could still charge him, right? But you as the individual drop, like, I don't want him prosecuted because two lives have already been lost. I think he spent enough time in jail. There's no need to go to trial. Uh,
I think that I guess that would be, and anyone has a right to feel how they would feel. I can't imagine a scenario where I wouldn't want someone to face the consequences of their actions. Like I hear what you're saying, but by that same premise, like there ought to be a consequence for your fucking up. And if you do something like you will, everyone knows ahead of time that like if you drink and you drive, there is a possibility of there being a horrible outcome, right? You can hit somebody, you can get an accident, you can cause an accident, your reflexes can be impacted accordingly. Like, I don't think that should be on the opinion of the victim. I think there should be a standard set of consequences for making poor decisions, especially those decisions that impact the life and well being of other human beings. So I don't have
yeah,
a whole lot of sympathy for that. I think there ought to be a consistent punishment, and I understand what you're saying, and like from a Christian standpoint, you're absolutely right. And I'm not saying that as a victim, like I think it'd be good for you to forgive them. I think in I think those are two different conversations. Your ability to forgive has nothing to do with the state's responsibility for imposing the consequences of your decisions, if you know what I mean.
yeah, I do know what you mean. I understand. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know how I'd feel. I'd
I'm
feel a
not
certain
good
way,
either.
obviously.
Yeah, you're right.
I
It's
would,
easy to say now, not going through it, right?
yeah. All right. Well, do we want to talk? Well, let's talk combine. We were talking that earlier before, and
Yeah.
you gave me a solid 5 minutes. So I was saying I want to re-inspire you and capture that again. I was talking about it seems like the media and scouts that work for the media, they're glorifying these kids that are, just having some outrageous performances at the combine. There was a 315 pound. I think he was a D tackle. He ran like a 4.7, which is like the fastest anybody over 300 pounds has ever run a 40. And there was another linebacker from Ohio State who's a first round talent, but he ran like a 4.4 40, and he's 6'5", 240 pounds. And it seems like all the reporters, all the scouts, they're like falling in love with these guys all over again. It reminds me of like pick any bus that, performed well at the combine and was their draft stock skyrocketed because of their combine performance. And then I thought we were done with those days because of the data, because of analytical data that shows like how these guys perform in practice, as far as, again, how they're practicing, how that relates to the game, all the analytic data that there is that's out there, that that was trumping again the eye candy that happens on combine days, but it doesn't seem to be that way. What do you think?
I think it's a balance, right? Like I think that there is for every one of those players that they draft for the potential that fails, maybe not one for one, but there's another story of somebody that they draft in the same situation who excels and goes on to superstardom, right? Like, so I think there's an equal balance, and ultimately it comes down to a statistic of what's more likely or not, and you're going to gamble like if the ceiling's higher, but the floor is also lower, right? Like, yeah, the guy could be a superstar, or they could be a bust. But I also think, and as we were saying before, that um, well, speed, your ability to jump, your ability to run the three cone drill and to do all these other things are really important. And certainly that's a great measure of what you can do from a physical standpoint. It's really hard to quantify um, someone's ability to win. Like the guys that get it, the guys that make that play in the right moment, that seem to come up big, that are good leaders. Like how do you measure that? It's so
Yeah.
subjective, and like what I might value in a player might be different than what you value in a player. Um, in that, well, you can measure their results, you can measure the stats, and you can measure their speed and their height and their vertical and all those things, and all important tools. But you got to carve out a piece for the intangibles, and I don't know how you do that. And I think it's such an important factor in that like the combine is good, and I think a combine is the ability for like a if you're like a mid major, a guy that maybe didn't get the national exposure of one of the four major divisions, maybe they are like best inclined to come up and like see how fast I am, see how big I am, and they might be able to get drafted from that. Um, so I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing, but I just feel like there's so many other, and this is why I think you also see a lot of players opting out of the combine or opting out of like pro days nowadays. Like it's just crazy. It's a crazy world we live in.
Yeah. I think it's just, again, the combine is there for them to perform. I think it's just
Yeah,
like recency bias. Like, of course they're gonna. I don't think that the GMs and everybody else that's actually there, they're wowed by the performance, but it's not swaying them to use their number two pick on somebody that ran a fast 40 but played 7 games in college. Like that's probably not going to happen. I'm sure it's
yeah,
not. It's just they seem to be glorifying it, I mean, it's amazing feats. Don't get me wrong. I just the chatter just seems to be all about that, and everybody that's getting headlines, of course, are dudes that are performing well at this combine, but it just seems glorified. Like again, they're talking about like this linebacker from Ohio State. He was projected like I think he's number 55 overall, but all of a
yeah.
sudden after his combine performance, like he's jumping in number two. The Jets are going to make that pick, and the Jets is a poor example because they're probably going to make a silly
They're
pick
perfect.
anyway.
They're a perfect example.
But it just seems like they're glorifying it, and it should be at this extent, but not to the extent of again like, oh, this guy's jumping
Yeah,
up everybody's draft boards and this and
yeah,
that, and then some of that stuff like you got a D tackle doing and an offensive lineman doing a vertical jump. Like, what's the reason for
well,
that?
yeah. What the
Why
purpose?
why are
Yeah,
we doing that? Like,
yeah,
okay, they jumped. What does that matter? And then of course the intangibles about I shouldn't say the intangibles, but the tangibles like we dealt with last year. Somebody having short arms that's an offensive lineman or defensive lineman, right? Like, and then that comparison, like, dang, this guy had a really good college career, but his arms are only 37 inches, and there hasn't been like a D end that didn't have more than 38-inch arm span, and didn't have 10 sacks in their
yeah,
NFL career. Like if you have 36-inch arms, your chances of having ten sacks in your NFL career drastically go down. Like some of the silly stats like that. But I do think I'm sure it exists, but I was reading or I was listening to it was Clinton and Friends, ESPN, and a guy came on and they were talking about the NFL draft, and he said there's a program that doctors use, or whether when they graduate and receive their doctorate of medicine, or while they're still in the field, there's a program that will pair them with it's almost like a recruiting tool, but it's actually like a program that will pair them best with their skills compared to another hospital, and then the pay
yeah.
scale and all that stuff. So it's like a good recruiting tool. And I wonder, I'm sure something like that exists within, again, all of your college players that, we've got so much data. Like the game that you play for NCAA that's on EA Sports is almost identical to what those players are on the field. And so if we have that data, we know that GMs, scouts, they all have that same data. And so they should already literally have a list of names, not just, hey, the coach talks to all his scouts and says, hey, we want to focus on these players and these positions. Like it's also automatically probably given to them to where they have a list by name or who they're but again, before they even sit down with a coach, like these are the guys that we should probably be focusing on right here. And
Yeah.
I'm sure it
And
exists, but
even with all that, and you're absolutely right, but even with all that, they're wrong all the time, right? People that
yeah,
are supposed to be studs turn out to be busts for any number of reasons, and it can be
yeah,
such a like butterfly effect thing. Like such a small little thing can ruin someone's career. It's a crazy. It's crazy. It's crazy because it really is a gamble. Like rarely, like, and I think the NFL might be like of all the major sports, like to have the highest percentage of like they get it right. I think that like when I think of like busts, I think the NBA probably has a lot of busts. Like MLB, like I don't know how many of
Yeah.
those first round picks. I'd be interested in statistically, like over the course of a decade in the four major sports. I'll even set hockey aside because I think they only have two rounds too. But so say of the three major sports, like what percentage after 3 years are all stars or whatever, and what are busts? I'd be interested to hear that. Um,
Yeah. Yeah, I love listening to Louis Riddick. I don't know if you like listening to him, but when he gets in on shows and he's at like I liked him at the draft last year, but he said it in a very eloquent way. I can't remember the verbiage and the words that he used, but he essentially said, "Yeah, it's an it. Of course, we all fail at evaluating the risk versus the reward of all these young kids." But he used something other than risk versus reward. Uh, I just wish I would remember it because it was spot on. Like it, it exemplifies again, like, yes, everybody's a risk and
yeah,
you need to take everything into
yeah.
consideration again, like the tangibles, the untangibles. And
Mhm.
again,
The way they fit into
that
your
it,
system,
the
all
it
that. Yeah,
factor, like what
yeah,
is that? No one to this day can say what it is or how you get it, but we all want to, again, scouts and players that evaluate or guys that evaluate players for a living, they define that somehow, and it's probably multiple things that make up the it factor, right? But they describe it in multiple ways, and each scout is probably different as far as how they describe it. But it's
yeah,
evaluating that and then deciding whether at the pick, like what's the what's the risk there, and then also again like you don't want to draft somebody in the first round that you think is projected to maybe play 2 years in the NFL. So if you're drafting him in the
yeah.
first round, you're thinking this guy's going to be a Pro
10 years,
Bowler at a
10 years. Yeah,
minimum.
8 to 10 years.
Yeah,
Yeah, I agree.
yeah. So it's
It's
crazy.
so
I'd love
few.
to
It's
sit in
so
those
few of them
rooms.
are.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, and some of them, a majority of them start out that way, and then a career-ending injury, or let's use Sam Darnold as an example, like goes to a terrible
Yeah,
place.
bad
And
system, bad coach, bad system.
yeah,
Yep,
and then you move from one, or
it's
props
luck. A
to
lot of it's luck. Yeah,
Jalen Hurts, but the dude's been in the league 5 years and he's had five different offensive coordinators. Like
yeah. It's not
that's
crazy.
that's not how you continue to develop
Yeah,
somebody. Thankfully, he was already again, I feel like his class of quarterbacks were probably the first that were like they were self-developers as in like the elite 11-ish, like, and that used to be a niche where it was only 11, but now every state probably has their own elite 11, and
yeah,
so every quarterback I would say in his class is probably just
yeah,
you're in your same location. If you commit to football, like there is that same thing in the equivalent very close by. So again, I shouldn't say they're self-starters, but he definitely like a LeBron James and a Tom Brady uses the income that he has and puts a portion of that towards his career development, right? Not
yeah.
just depending on the coaches that are in his coaching tree and in his bubble to help him. So kudos to him, but that's just
Agreed.
not that's not a good situation to find yourself in. I don't think.
As a quick aside, the Celtics are beating the Nets currently by 39 points.
Nice.
They're crushing them. 40
Yeah,
points in the NBA.
I watched some of the first half and they were up but kind of struggling in the first half. So that's good to see that they pulled away.
Yeah, they put it together.
Jalen Jalen had less than 10 points in the first half. So what a season he's putting together. Good segue. What a season he's putting together. All the talk about, well, first before the injury, before the NBA finals, splitting those two up.
Yeah.
Getting rid of one for the other, and who is it? Who's the alpha? Who should we trade? Keep one, get rid of the other. They're not going to work together. Like, and then not only that, but we had this conversation during the NBA Finals when, you know, Tatum went down. Like, this next season has got to be Jalen Brown's best season that he's had in order for us to be in the position that we're in. And I'm obviously I'm happy to see it. I cannot wait to see Jason Tatum come back this season. Hopefully, if they deem him ready, hope they do get him some game time before the playoffs. I don't want to if he can't if he can't come back before the playoffs, I'm not so sure I want him to come back in the playoffs because I don't want to be dealing with rotation
Yeah.
changes but
He's
and I
playing
don't want
five
to
on
risk
five.
injury. Yeah.
He's scrimmaging fully in practice. Like, I mean, it can't be that far away.
I agree. I hope it's soon, honestly. I mean, if you've, yeah, I'm sure up there that you're seeing a bunch of the commercials about the countdown
Oh yeah.
to him coming back and like, the Amica commercials are like they know how to do a comeback and the countdown is to zero, which is hit Tatum's number and that's how the commercial ends essentially, or the hype of the
Yeah.
commercial. So, yeah, I hope it's soon. I
Great
hope it's
commercial.
soon.
That's a great commercial.
Yes, it's an amazing commercial. I just saw it while I was watching the Nets in the Celtics first half. But yeah, the Celtics, man, I had my doubts about what's his name, I don't know his
Shireman
last. Yeah, Shireman. Have my doubts about him when they started putting him in the starting five.
looks
I'm
good,
not
doesn't
really. Yeah, but I think he transitioned back to the bench though, and they put
he? Yeah.
Hauser. Hauser's now starting, so
Now, it hasn't played been good. They've been playing Hugo quite a few minutes too, and I
yeah,
love his game. But he adds quite an
yeah,
element to this. And he's going to be a good addition.
yes,
I like the team. I like the team. I like the way they're playing. The Celtics have. You're right about Jaylen Brown. Like, I mean, we said he had to have a career year, and I think even by like that standard, he's exceeded our expectation. Like they were saying, and I think it was Rosillo was saying this on his podcast, that like saying that like, it should be an MVP, right? Like why? Like he hits every marker, and especially if, and I know did SGA come back today? Did he play? Is he playing
I
against
don't
the
know,
Nuggets
but
yet?
he needs
He's
to come
close.
back sooner. He doesn't
He's
qualify.
close.
I don't know if he
And
did.
similarly, Jokic is only like got can only miss a game or two for the rest of the season before he's not qualified. So there's a real possibility that they don't qualify. And then why wouldn't Jaylen Brown be in that conversation after that? Cade Cunning, Cade Cunningham. Sorry, my dog's doing something up above me.
It's all good.
Um,
It's all good.
Cade's certainly going to be in that conversation too. He's having a hell of a year. That Detroit team's a steamroller,
Yeah.
thanks largely, if not solely, to him. So I think that he's got a seat at the table. But Jaylen Brown's right there in terms of
Yes.
what the expectations were for the Celtics and what their outcome is, largely because of him. Well, you touched on Tatum, and all I have to say about that is I get so frustrated by some of the national media having the conversation regarding like should he come back or not. Like even if he's ready, just sit the season out. Like it's so stupid. I'm so sick of this narrative of JT versus JB and there being tension or some sort of role. That's never been an issue. I don't
Yeah.
think Jason Tatum has never been a selfish player. He's never spoke self. I think he's going to fit seamlessly into this team. He's an all NBA quality player. Like let's not forget any of that. Like Baylor Shireman's a great player. I really enjoyed his game. Hugo Gonzalez has had a really good first quarter. But if Jason Tatum's healthy, Jason Tatum's playing. Like let's not fool ourselves. He's
Yeah.
a 5 time first team All NBA player. Like come on, he's a top. He's the best. He's the current best. Last season, you can make a pretty compelling argument that he was the best American player alive
Yeah.
last season.
Yeah. Yeah. No, he definitely very inspired on him again taking over the team or taking leadership of the team and then leading them the way that he has. And player development, like we
Yeah,
have always been good. Always, always go all the way
Brad's a
back to
hell of an
Red.
executive.
We'll
Yeah.
go all the way back to Red Auerbach. Like, I mean, we drafted Bill Russell. We drafted most of the
Yeah.
guys that have their numbers in the rafters. We drafted all those guys and developed them. So, like, we weren't transactional. We didn't go out and buy a good player and bring them
We had
in. We
some dark
drafted
years
for
between
sure, yeah.
Danny and
Yeah, of
Red,
course,
between Red and
Dino
Danny. Yeah.
Raja. Yep, Dino Raja. Like, I mean, yeah, but we still
Early
had some
Paul
good
Pierce years.
players that we were
Yeah.
drafting. We just
Yeah.
the team didn't develop. The coach was probably subpar. I mean, there was the management in general were but we've always been good, I feel like, about drafting and developing talent or
Yeah.
finding and developing. Not
Danny
can't
Ainge
take
turned the.
credit.
I think Danny Ainge turned the franchise around in that
Yeah,
regard.
100%, yes. It takes
And
a guy
Brad
from
Stevens
BYU.
I love Brad Stevens. Like you will not find a bigger Brad Stevens fans than me. What he did as a coach and what he's doing currently with this team is, I think, his crowning jewel in some regards. Like it's easy to
Yeah.
be called a genius when you bring in five All Pro or five All Star level talents. It's
Well,
much harder when you're able to piece together a
yeah,
contract and be under the luxury tax.
for
Like
sure, yeah.
hats
No,
off.
I think Brad Stevens eclipsed Danny Ainge for sure. And I'll use recent history. What has he done in Utah?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
He's had high draft picks
yeah, yeah.
in there, you know. So like, whatever. Not saying it was the combination of, again, the Celtics, everyone around him, his input, their input, etc. But I do think that looking at it now, like he's done nothing but consume draft picks and also build up more draft picks, and still they have some talent, but the team is not that good, and they're currently tanking to get a better pick next year, and they're being fined
Yeah.
by the NBA. So like, I don't know. I feel like he's also responsible for some of that, the ethics questions about tanking because he's part of that organization. So yeah,
I don't think it's an ethics question. I think you owe it to your team to tank. Like if you're going to get a bet, like if you're not going to make the playoffs, don't you want to put your team in the best position to get in a sport where a singular player can have such an impact on your team? Like, and if you have a generational player, like I think you got to do everything. If you want to win, the best way to win a championship is by drafting the next SGA, the next Ant, you know what I mean? The next
yeah,
uh,
but it's gotta
Jason
it's
Tatum.
yeah. When I say I guess my point is I'm not saying that it is an ethics. Like they should go out there and the players that are being played should be on
Agreed.
the court and play.
And I think
And there
they are,
shouldn't,
right? I think they do. I think the
for
player or
the
the
most
players
part,
love
but
it. They try.
there's been egregious times where the coach subs out the
I agree.
starting five
Yeah. Yeah.
when the game's tight and it's in the fourth quarter. So like I don't agree with that. That is an ethics thing.
Or
But
put a
I
player out
do.
because of a
But
hurt back for the year. Yeah.
yeah, but the structure, the way the NBA is structured, they should create parity just like the NFL. There should be no lottery balls. It should just be the worst team gets the best pick, and then
Yeah.
it goes down from there. Like there's no reason why we need to leave it to chance. Because how many times again, the worst team has the most balls in the lottery, and they don't get it. It's literally like a 10%. I'd probably venture to say max 25% of the time that since the lottery started that the worst team actually gets the top pick. So like it's not
So
it's intuitive. It is in order for the organization to prove they should tank. You're right, but because the only way they can increase their chances of getting the number one pick is if they have more balls. And the more that they lose, the more balls that they get. But they should still, again, if they're the second worst team, they should get the second best pick, not the 15th pick because that's the way the balls fell, you know what I mean? So
yeah.
I don't know. I think
The,
that
the
they
the
should
the
change it.
counter argument to that is right. If you are a fan base, if you're the commissioner of the sport and you have a fan base in, say, Boston, whose team is losing and they're going to tank, like how is that fair? Like, shouldn't I be go having to go and watch a team that's going to do everything they can to try to win a game. Like if they're just trying to tank, doesn't everybody lose money ultimately, and doesn't that infect a little bit impact the integrity of the game? If you're not trying to win,
Oh,
like
for sure.
why should anyone show up? Like why
Yeah.
should like it just doesn't it feels a little icky.
Well, I mean, the rules and the people that are governing in the NBA, in my opinion, are part of the problem because go back to the Chris Paul trade to Los Angeles. Like, if Chris Paul had been traded to Los Angeles, they would have been a very good team and probably won a couple more championships.
Yeah,
And the commissioner vetoed that trade. It wasn't that the two teams didn't agree to it. It was literally that the NBA had influence with one team because
yeah.
there was no GM or owner at the time. I think there was a GM, no owner, and they vetoed it because the NBA was part owner of the team, even though the all the parties, not including the NBA specifically, because they don't sit on like the trade talks, right? So
Right.
again, the people that are in charge are making these decisions, and they shouldn't be able to. The commissioner should not be able to should not veto a trade or like not allow a trade to go through. Like the that's what like these two teams have made an agreement, handshake. They both agree. There's no reason for me to say, "Oh no, you're giving away too much. Like that cost is too high for you. You shouldn't do that," and then veto it. Like
Well, yeah, there shouldn't be the need, but I think there should always be the ability to do that because there's a lot of reasons um,
I
why a
disagree,
team
man.
might.
I disagree. If a team wants to trade a player away for stocks in a current company that has nothing to do with the NBA, I think that collectively bargaining like that can happen. Like it doesn't.
Yeah, I don't think that's fair. I don't think that's fair. I think that that's too easily puts influence on external forces. It should be a contained system. It should be a singular ecosystem where money in equals money spent, and it shouldn't be influenced by external forces. That's not fair. Because how could a small market team like a Tampa Bay compete with a New York City or an LA or anything like that? That's not that doesn't strike me as fair.
Right. I'm not saying that that it's against the rules, but again, I think yes, NBA money we're talking or NBA future prospects, stocks, which would be draft picks, etc.
Yeah.
That stuff, of course, that's what should hold value and should create trades and you equal the value to the trade or the player and obviously yeah economics I agree with that but I'm just using that as a point like I think that can actually be done and I would again if it's not against the rules the NBA commissioner shouldn't be saying no you can't trade that player for stocks and hostess you know snacks like I mean, they're both commodities that people own, and I think that again, that probably outside of the NBA, that shouldn't happen, right? But if they want to trade for things like I don't know, two chicken sandwiches, like I feel like give me that contract for two chicken sandwiches. It could be the last guy sitting down on the bench, but like if they agree to that, like I feel like that's not only economics, that's business. If one business is performing, you know, poorly because they make that trade, well, I'm sorry, that's on them. Like it should be
So so let me ask you, let's add this element. So what if there's a salary cap in place or a luxury tax in that every team gets paid out a certain amount based on this tax? So like ultimately you get paid out. So if you're
that's
a
the way
team
it
that
is,
wants
isn't
to
it?
sell your best player for two hostess snacks. Um, and then you're going to collect $400 million on the backside because you only spent 50 million in the luxury taxes. You know what I mean? Like, at what level
Yeah.
does that become
Well,
an
no,
issue?
that
They
currently
shouldn't
exists,
just be
right?
able to bilk money from your product at the expense of the product on the field or on the court.
Yeah.
There's
Well,
got to be a
that
minimum. There's got to be a minimum level that they're willing to spend, right? I think that salary caps
yes,
are important,
absolutely,
but
yes.
there also ought to be a salary floor.
Yes, I 100% agree. What it's not, they shouldn't only put a cap on what you can spend or what you can, yeah, what you can spend. They should put a floor, like you said, on what you have to spend so that, like you said, you're not trading all your best players away for future assets and then fielding your G League team or signing a G League team to be your team for the rest of the year. Like, no, you should be, again, as far as your fan base is concerned, there should be every effort put forth to try and put a product on the field that will draw them in to come and watch,
Mhm.
whether it's on TV or in the arena that you pay taxes on. There should absolutely be a floor. I don't know about a salary cap. I don't like the luxury tax either. I believe yeah, I don't know. That's kind of socialistic behavior. Even though it's business and you want to create some sort of equal playing ground, I understand that, but just because I am the one that can spend, billions more than somebody else, like I should be able to spend that if I want to.
The hard part is that then it's not like this, you want this to be a competitive endeavor, right? You want to have an equal
Yeah.
playing field. So if one team can spend $900 million, but one team can only afford to spend $10 million, that's not equal playing ground, right? There's got to be some way to level that playing field, or else the giant cities will always win. Why would St. Louis? Why would um, you know uh, any of these smaller market
Yeah,
teams
yeah.
even be willing to compete?
Well, again, what currently exists is the luxury tax. So if you spend over a certain amount, I'm okay with you being taxed and having the kickback and that revenue because you overspend, although you won a championship and like your bottom line is still plus because you won a championship and you're making money hand over fist. But I overspent according to the NBA. I didn't
Yeah.
overproduce, or you can't be overproductive in business. Like I'm making money hand over fist. So if that makes me millions and millions of dollars on the back end, then I'll pay again. I'll pay the hundreds of thousands. Just using that as an
You're
example, but it's
good. So
more like hundreds of millions.
you're good with what the Dodgers are doing in baseball. You think that's good for baseball?
100%. Yeah. I don't think it's not good for the competitive balance of baseball, but that should not stop another smaller market team. Like another smaller market team can do exactly what the Dodgers did, and they sold their rights. It went from being a sole ownership to they sold their rights to a company that does nothing but invest in making other businesses better. And this is no different. And it's based off of production, meaning bottom line, and also the overall production. Like what is their bottom line oriented. So it's not just how much money am I making on how much am I in the green? It's what is that dollar amount to every W that I have? And then am I willing to pay X amount of dollars to get more W's? And I completely and 100% agree with that. You don't?
I feel like it puts some teams at a disadvantage. Like, and I don't think it's simply a matter like some markets are bigger than others, right? So some teams have a much larger audience than others. If you're in a city of 500,000 versus a city of 20 million,
Yeah.
you're going to have a different like playing field, and that strikes me as innately unfair. So if the ability to spend is dependent on the ability to earn, like you don't want an owner having to run $40 million in the red every year. They're not going to be an owner very long. But if you have but like that's the part that you can't account for because the cities aren't equal sized, the fan bases aren't equal sized, the money
Yeah.
coming in isn't equal. Even if you market yourself, like if you're Green Bay, great, but like you still only have a market of a couple 100,000. Like there's only so much you can do, only so many TVs that are going to be watching or asses that are going to be
Well,
sitting in the seats.
this is true, but also that I would say that their business plan or the ownership and their business plan has capped. Like they're maximizing their profit. They're doing this. So they're not thinking outside of that box as in like, ooh, let's go bigger scale now. Let's literally build a resort that is Lambeau Field. Let's again, the people that run the Dodgers. They're business oriented, multiple facets of business and industry that are going on at the same time. It's not just the Dodgers and merchandising and the players. It's how do we improve the training staff? How do we improve the buildings that the training staff are in? How do we improve the medical staff? How do we get more revenue in to do this? And then we'll create more jobs. And then our business that we thought capped out, not necessarily because the city that I am in only has 100,000, but now the industries that I've created through improving my team and their footprint have created 100,000 more jobs. And now there's 200,000 people in this 100,000 area. You know what I mean? Like,
I do know what you mean. I do know what you mean. I feel like it's a slight bit overly optimistic, but I
well,
also
anything in
feel like
business is a coin toss, right? Just like we were talking
right.
about risk versus reward, but like the people that are running the Dodgers, I'm not saying they're a win-win situation. They've taken a lot of risk, but they've had the financial backing to do it. So if it took them longer, they could afford to get where they are today. They didn't need to do it literally the first year that they bought the team. But again, and they're seeking solutions outside of the box, the normal box, especially when we're talking about baseball. We've seen the game Moneyball, where Brad Bean or Brad Pitt, is it Billy Bean? Billy Bean is the
Well, I
character's
mean, they're
name.
just signing people, right? They're just spending a ton of money. I mean, it's not a
Correct.
system. They're just trying to spend the most money on the most people.
And some of the most productive players, to be honest with you. I mean,
Yeah,
that's
they're
why
throwing the
that's
most
why the
money at the
price
best
is
players.
high. That's why the price is high. And again, in baseball, doesn't it benefit if we just talked about basketball and how the Celtics are very good at drafting players. And then if you were to look at one of our biggest rivals, the Los Angeles Lakers, they're a very transactional team. They drafted Kobe, or technically they didn't. They traded draft rights, right? They traded
Yeah.
players and draft rights. So technically they didn't draft Kobe. They drafted Magic Johnson, and that's look at every player. Wilt Chamberlain, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, they didn't draft those guys. They transactionally acquired them. So again, the Dodgers doing the same thing, transactionally acquiring talent, that they're in a system where there's no cap on what they spend. So why not?
Yeah, I don't begrudge them. I'm saying you got to look at the system because that's not fair because they have they've got tapped into all of Asia. LA is a huge market. They're bringing in more
Yeah.
money than a Tampa Bay, a Minnesota. Those teams could ever even if they were to do all the things you said. And hit all those benchmarks, they're still not going to be able to compete with the juggernaut that is the Dodgers in terms of the Dodgers earning ability to theirs. So, like, that's why I feel like it's just you got to look at the system and try to have some sort of parity. Um,
Yeah. No, I agree. We talked about this. That I think there should be a cap, but there currently isn't. So their business plan and business model is one that meets the
yeah.
parameters. They're not
Yes.
going,
Yes. Yeah.
they're
I agree. I
doing
agree. You're
different
right. You're right.
things
They're not doing
and
anything
taking
wrong. They're not doing
advantage.
anything
Yeah.
wrong. The deferred
I
money, the deferred money is a little questionable. Like, I'm not crazy about that. I think MLB should do something about that. But whatever.
yeah, again, if you can get a player to defer his money over 30 years, that's something else, man. I wish we would do the same thing. I'm not gonna lie. I'd rather see us buy talent that way if we can. Because again, yeah, it might be a bust for 10 years, but we're only paying him his cost isn't going up
Yeah.
per se, and it's not market value, which is amazing. And that's what you want to do. I mean, you know, you don't want to be the Cowboys and buy the Bentley on the floor room and have to and pay and be upcharged
No,
15% and then brag about it. Like it
you're
doesn't make
absolutely
any
not.
sense. Yeah. Or glorify yourself for doing that. So, all right, do we want to talk free agents? No, we did that. Uh, what did you want to talk about, Wally? Anything you want to talk about in particular? You were very
No,
staunch. You were very staunch and like And I figured you'd take off with the Trump comment and you know how the ladies felt about it, the hockey team.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think that's a distract. There's a lot worse things going on. I'd be interested to, at some point, to have a conversation about kind of what's going on in the Gulf with Iran. Like that's not doesn't look very good right now. I'd like to have a real conversation about the Clinton. You saw Bill and Hillary went and talked in front of that commission, uh, the congressional panel about Epstein today. The precedent that sets. I'd be interested to talk about that. I don't know. The State of the Union. I don't know if you caught any part of that.
I
That
didn't. If you want to,
no, I
if
mean,
you
who
want to
can?
talk,
Who's going to sit down? Who's going to sit down and watch that for 2 hours? Like it would take a special breed. Uh, but I'm not ready to talk about any of those in depth. I got to do more research on them. I've got strong feelings that probably should moderate in some capacity.
what about Iran? Let's just talk. Let's just unpack that a little bit.
Well, frankly, I don't know. There's two things that I haven't heard as much about it as you think I would, or as we should. Correct me if I'm wrong here. I've heard there's a huge amount of forces moving into the Gulf, aircraft carrier groups, lots of troops. Is that correct?
I don't know, honestly.
Oh, this is why I didn't really want to talk about it because I want to do more research. But I'd
Yeah.
heard that they were moving a large amount of resources into the Gulf. There's speculation about whether there was negotiation with Iran currently regarding their nuclear program, with a speculation that that war might be on the horizon. I've heard this from a couple different sources. It's been all
Yeah, I've
over
heard that
X.
as well.
Uh, and I thought that there was a huge influx of troops, boats and ships specifically headed to the Gulf and towards the over towards Iran.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean,
Which I don't know either. This is my point. Is why we shouldn't talk about it. We should do some research and speak about it from an educated perspective before we say something that's um, stupid or patently false because we
yeah.
don't have enough facts.
After Venezuela, I don't think anybody wants to fuck with us, to be honest with you. They'd be stupid too. It's
I
clear
think there's a lot.
we're
I think there's
far
a lot
more
of stupid. I
superior.
think there's a lot of stupid people in the world who
Oh,
would
for
love
sure,
nothing. Who
yeah.
would love nothing more than to fuck with us.
I agree with that. I agree with that. There's a lot of people, not necessarily a lot of countries, which I'm happy about, but a lot of people with different agendas for sure. Yeah. That's yeah. All right. That's it. That if we
That's
don't
it.
have anything, yeah, that's
I'm
it.
ready for a dad joke of the week
Dad joke of the week? What? I
or
need to
vibe.
do the
I want to hear your
vibe. Do
vibe.
you have a vibe? Yeah.
I don't have a vibe. I don't listen to music. I don't listen to music. What did I say?
You're a liar. You're about to go to a Dave Matthews concert.
I'm going to Dave Matthews Band's concert this summer.
You're a
Um, I,
liar.
I listen to sports talk to and from work
All right, I got you.
or
My
podcasts
vibe, yeah. What?
or podcast. I listen to a lot of podcasts.
What's your current podcast that you're listening to?
I listen to
Or the
PFT. I
last
listen
one?
to Marcillo. I listen to Sean Ryan. I listen to
Oh,
Joe
it's
Rogan.
sports based. Sports based. Well, Sean Ryan is
Sports
not, but
and politics, and I listen to a couple cool crime ones. Like there's a Down East, Dark Down East is like a New England based
oh, okay.
murders. It's an interesting one.
On
Mr.
that
Ballin,
note, yeah, on that note, did you hear about the lady that's been missing for like 20 years? The family finally
the
found
mother,
her,
yeah, the kid
and
that turned up. I did,
she didn't
yeah,
want to have any contact or to let them know where she was. She
yeah.
was done. What do you
Isn't
think
that
of
awful?
that?
I think it's a shitty thing to do. If you're gonna
Yeah.
run away, at least have the nerve to say I'm leaving.
Yeah. And of course
It's
she's
a
been
coward. It's
missing.
a coward
Yeah.
move. It's like everyone has. It's
Everyone
just a coward move.
yeah, and her kids are the ones that found her. Like
Yeah,
they paid money to track her down and find her. And then she doesn't want
disgusting human
anything to
being.
yeah, that is yeah. But you wonder what she went through to go to that level, you know? Like her husband abusive, extremely abusive, you know? So, and she saw no other way out. Like I feel like something spurned a human being to do that, and it wasn't hate for their child. You know what I mean? Which is the ones that
Yeah.
tried to contact him and the ones that suffer through that whole, interaction
The
with
hard
it.
part is again, it's all speculation. They could be. You're right. You're right. I have no right to say that. It could be a lot of harsh things. To leave your kids behind, though, I don't know. Boy, oh boy, I don't know. And I just don't. I don't know anything about the story. I know only the headline, so it's hard for me to pass judgment, pro or con, when I don't know any of the facts.
Yeah, I got you. All right, so vibe of the week. My vibe of the week is Bloodline with Alex Warren and Jelly Roll. I'm sure you've heard it before. It's been out
I
for a
might.
while.
Yeah.
Bloodline? Anyway, that's my vibe. Been listening to it. Jelly Roll will probably be in my vibe for a while. Like he's
Yeah.
very inspirational for
Did I tell
whatever
you he was
reason. I like.
announced? He's coming to New Hampshire. He's coming to Guilford this summer. They
Really?
announced him. They announced him this week. He's going to Bangor. He's coming to Guilford. I was looking at tickets because my son is a huge Jelly Roll
Yeah.
fan. Walter loves Jelly Roll, but I'm a little concerned because Jelly Roll's got a lot of really great inspirational songs, but he's got also got a lot of like probably really inappropriate songs for an 8-year-old. So I'm like, I
Uh,
don't know. I don't know if it'd be an appropriate concert for him or if eight's a little too young still. I
I
don't
don't
know.
know. I think you'll be all right. I think you should go and get the tickets.
I brought
That'll
him
be
to Zach
cool.
Brown last year. We had a blast. We had a
Yeah,
blast.
that'd be cool. Like I don't think honestly, I don't think he'll hear it with clarity to understand. You know what I mean? He'll
Yeah,
hear the
I'd sit.
music and
I'd sit
that's
in the field. Have you gone to a concert? You haven't probably gone to a concert there in 25
no,
years. Have
no.
you ever gone to a concert there?
In Guilford? No,
Yeah,
no.
it's a great venue. They got a whole like
How
kind of
big?
I
How
see it.
big?
It's good size. Yeah, I mean it's good size. They have a pavilion with
Like
God.
5,000? Like does the Celtics NBA arena house more?
Yeah, I would assume so.
Okay.
It's not. It's not.
Then
I
it's
have
not
no
that
idea. Five
small.
or
It's
six
not that
thousand, I
big
think.
then.
5 or 6 thousand.
Yeah.
I like. I mean, it's big enough that we get Jelly Roll to come here. Like Dave Matthews Band's
Apparently.
coming here. Zach Brown Band's come here for a couple of years in a row.
Yeah.
Chris Stapleton's come here in the past. So these are national artists. So it's big enough. Uh, it's a nice venue. Like there's all good seats. You can sit in the outside on the grass and you can get lawn
I'm
chairs. It's nice.
convinced. I'm
They've done a nice
convinced.
job.
If Jelly
Yeah,
rolls up there, I'm going. I'm going.
yeah.
And we should go to Dave Matthews. We kind of talked about it
I'm
already.
going. I got tickets. Shannon and I got tickets to Dave Matthews this year.
Yeah. No
I'm really excited.
kids?
No, we're going with her cousin.
Isn't Chet bringing his kids?
One of the days I think he said he is. I don't
I think
know.
he said.
Chet
Oh
goes
yeah,
to
yeah.
goes to both days, and I don't remember which. Yes, you're right. He is bringing his kids. I don't
He's
know if it's the same
fancy.
day I'm going.
He's
And
fancy.
like I said, I still got to figure out the jelly roll. I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing with that.
You don't know? Oh. All right, so I got one last question for you.
What do you got, buddy?
Um, what has 5 toes and isn't your foot?
I don't know what.
My foot. That's the dad joke of the week.
Nailed
Appreciate
it.
you getting on. Love you,
Nailed it.
man. Actually, you know what? Let me redo that because I don't like that joke. It was all right. That was mediocre. Can we do one more? It'll be a two
Please,
for one, maybe.
please.
All right. What's
Sounds
Forrest
like
Gump's
you.
password?
I don't know.
One Forrest one.
One forest one.
That's the dad joke of the week. I like that one better. We'll see. I'll probably post them both. But thanks for getting
I'm going to
on.
go with the first one. I like the first one better.
You like the first one? All right.
I did. I
I'll
did.
I'll keep the first one
They're
then.
both good jokes. Don't get me wrong. I post them both. We'll put it to a poll. See what people say.
We'll see. Yeah. All right, man. Thanks for getting on. Love you.